Okay, cool.
Can you give me the number? Oh, yeah, it's on the email invite or the community Slack message as it too. So, there on my screen. Okay, guys, so I think we can start. I don't know what Ryan told you, but internally in our company, we have core quality engineering meetings. We do them bi-weekly. At those meetings, we're trying to share useful information for everyone, how to write tasks, how to build testing strategy. Basically, we are nerds here. We're talking about how to test Magento and how to not make developers happy. So today is the first meeting where we share our knowledge with community, and I hope you will like this. I hope we will get some questions from you guys, and I hope in future meetings you will be able to share your practices and your opinion how testing should work in Magento. But today I want to start on the topic which I'm good at. I think I'm good at is MFTF tests, and the one thing I want to share, and I want to ask everyone to write tests with action groups only. And today I'm going to explain you why it is important, and how it can help you guys, especially community, especially for guys who write tests and distribute them with extensions, and especially if you system integrator and want to cover your features with MITF tests. So first of all, I want to share with you that Tom Erskine is doing a great job on recording videos called MFTF Quick Guides. He is explaining in this quick guides how MFTF works in basics. And I shared in Twitter and in MFTF Slack channel this playlist on Magento Community Engineering YouTube channel. So if you will not get some points today, please go ahead and view MFTF quick guide about action groups. So this is basics. I will not talk about basics. I will talk more on high level why it is important to have them in MFTF. So here you go. So let's start with best practice. So 2 bullet points here is you should always write tests with action groups only, and you should use and extend existing Magento action groups. So before you start writing your own test, you should go to DevDocs. There is a page where I listed all of the action groups with descriptions. We just started working on this page, but it may be not very useful today, but we are working on this. It will be better and better day by day. So please go there and find it. I also included a link in the last slide with useful links. But you probably will ask a question, obvious question, why? Why do I force action groups? Why do I force everyone to write tests with action groups? So I can explain you with these bullet points. First of all, it simplifies maintainability. By this, I mean that your test will probably reuse already existing action groups which someone wrote, which someone took care about all the possible stability issues and tests, about isolation, about anything. So if you use already existing action group, you kind of saving your time on writing this test. And maintaining those action groups is much easier, because if you have 10 failing tests because your product cannot be added to shopping cart, let's say, it's going to be much easier to update one single action group which do it, and all other tests will be fixed automatically. You don't need to go to each of these tests and fix them. The other thing is reduce duplication. Sorry, guys. Reduce duplication. By this I mean same thing. You don't duplicate identical piece of code in several tests. You just reuse. You just write one single action groups and you reuse it in many other tests. Action groups are tested in lots of different scenarios, which makes them more stable. By this I mean, and I have an example here, LoginAsAdminActionGroup. That's our best action group we have in Magento MFTF tests. By this I mean that this action group is used almost in every single test we have in Magento, and we did everything to make this action group as stable as possible. So I never saw that we have failure on this LoginAsAdmin step, because we tested it in many other tests. If we will do with other steps, with other actions the same, they also will be tested in different scenarios, in different places, and different people will make this action group much more stable by adding their proper weights, writing proper selectors, data, whatever needed to make it stable. And the last point, which we will talk more about later, is using action groups enhances extensibility of our tests. So let's talk about it more. Here I have an example. I will talk on some Magento scenarios, and I will talk today about customer login form and how we can write a test to log in as customer. And I will have 3 examples of Magento today. First one is vanilla Magento with Magento fields. Second will be Magento plus CAPTCHA enabled with CAPTCHA extension. And third example will be Magento plus CAPTCHA extension and plus 2FA extension when we have multiple extensions enabled on Magento instance. So that's what we're going to talk, and that's what we're going to try to cover with the MITF test. So as many of you know, that's how our tests look like. That's XML only with declared actions. Those actions are pretty readable, I believe. Step key in these actions, this is our unique identifier. So it is very important to write them unique in scope of test. And you will understand why later. So what this test will do, it will first fill email field, then fill password, then click sign in button. This is vanilla Magento test we distribute with our code, and obviously this test will pass. Nothing specific should be written for this case. What will happen if we will have CAPTCHA module enabled? Definitely all of you understand it, but I'll show you. The test will fail because Magento will say, hey, you have one more required field, you didn't fill it. So how to solve this problem? To solve this problem, Here at the top, we have same Magento test, which is located in Magento. Sorry, guys. Which is located in Magento customer module. It does same steps as I showed you before. And down here, you can see same test name, customer login test, and I split it by this line. It means that this piece of test can be located in any other module or in any extension. So if you will declare a test with the same name as we have Magento test, they will behave very, very interesting. Let me show you how. So when we will run customer login test, first of all, it will field email, then field password. Then magic will happen. The field from your extension or your own module will be merged into main Magento test. It will be merged before clicking sign in button because we specified it right here. We specified that this step should be executed before clicking sign in button. This reference, that's where our step keys are very important. We reference a step key because this is our unique identifier. Magic will happen. It will go and fill the captcha field, click sign in button, and obviously test will pass. So that's how our merging and how you can extend your test works with MITF. Same thing happens if you have 2FA extension installed. So we have Magento fields, we have CAPTCHA extension field, we have 2FA extension, and Magento 2 sign-in button. So the same Magento 2 test can be extended by CAPTCHA test extension, as I shown you before, and the same thing can be written from 2FA extension. The good part about it that both of these extensions, they know only about Magento. They know only about Magento 2 test, and when they extend this test, these two extensions do not know about each other and they are not dependent on each other. So this is good. But the main question, why I'm still not talking about action groups. And I want to ask a question, what will happen if each of these extension has their own tests? How can they be extended and how can they work without knowing about each other? So coming back to our form, what we can do, we can have 2FA test, CAPTCHA test. They don't know about each other. CAPTCHA test extension can extend 2FA test and 2FA test extension can extend CAPTCHA test, but at the same point of time we break the idea that these tests do not know about each other. So these two extensions start to be dependent on each other because without each other, those test extensions will fail. They will not know where they should be put. So let's see an example. What if we will have Magento 2 test and this Magento 2 test is written with Magento 2 action groups. Then 2FA extension can extend this action group and do not touch test. And because Magento 2 test is using this action group, and this action group is extended by this extension. How many times I said extend? Because this 2FA extension extended Magento 2 action group, Magento 2 test will pass. The same thing, CAPTCHA action group can extend the Magento action group, Magento 2 test will pass. So everything is good. those two extensions, they extend Magento test a little bit differently. They do not touch tasks, they touch only one single action group. And by this, it means that if in Magento I have 15 tasks which uses those action groups, it means that all of these 15 tasks will be extended by these extensions we have. So let's see an example how it will help those two extensions to work properly. So the same situation, we have Magento 2 task written with action group. Both of these extensions, they extended. Magento 2 task is passing. We're good. But what will happen with 2FA task and CAPTCHA task? What I do suggest, all extensions should also use, if possible, if there is a Magento 2 action groups, please use them, because if you extending and other extension extends Magento 2 action group, whatever Magento action group you use in your extension, it will get all of the extensions from different modules without knowing each other. So that's the magic, what I wanted to share with you guys. That's why it is important to write all tasks with action groups. Because as you know, marketplace team is forcing and advertising everyone to start writing those tasks, because at some point of time they will build an infrastructure where they will run your extension tasks, and in later future they will run even combinations of different extensions. So to avoid such problems where your test failing just because you cannot be dependent on other extension, please try to make use of this best practice we have today. This is pretty much it. If you have any questions, please raise them. I will try to answer. It actually shouldn't be questions about action groups. It can be any question about MITF, about meetings we want to make with you guys. Maybe you have some suggestions. Maybe you want to share something with you. Just go ahead and share, ask. No one, seriously.
I don't have a question, but thank you for presenting. Well, I got to see that one person.
Cool. So because we have some time and no questions, guys, I will make you struggle even more then. Or you ask me some questions, or I will make you to see this very weird XML task. And I will try to explain you how to write stable and good action groups. This silence makes me do it with you. So here is an example. I wanted to show you an example of task which we have in Magento and which follows this practice. Yes, to clarify, not all of Magento tests written with action groups. Yes, I know, and that's just because I was late to share with everyone this best practice and explain that this is very important. So that's my bad. We will work on refactoring those tasks. If you like to help us with or practice your skills on writing MITF tasks, you can go ahead and submit a pull request. But that's an example which actually Unity delivered on MTF, MITF migration project. And as you can see, Only in before and after, which are our preconditions and post conditions, you can see singular actions like finding some Magento CLI command. But the test body is completely written with action groups. First of all, what it gives you. Your test is much more readable, and you can much more faster understand what is going on here by reading what action groups we're using. So first action group is obvious, storefront, open contact us page action group. So it tells you what this action group will do. Then the second action group right after this will go and check that CAPTCHA visible on this form. Then we will try to fill contact us form with CAPTCHA. And by reading these arguments we pass in there, you can see that we're trying to fill this form with wrong CAPTCHA, which means we will check that it works properly. Right after we filled our form, we click on submit button, and then we assert in contact us form a message that we see incorrect CAPTCHA message, and message type should be error. And then we go check one more time that CAPTCHA is visible, and the second time we fill this form with the same data, but now we pass correct CAPTCHA, configured CAPTCHA value. And then we see that we submit our form, and then we see that our that we see success message that we submitted contact us form. You see how those action groups looks like. I will go through all of them, explain you what is here. So most of the guys, when they started to work with action groups, they thought that these action groups should cover everything. That there is no sense to create action groups with one or two small actions, which easy to write, easy to copy paste. They started to write really big pieces of code, especially it was create product. In one single action group, they started to put open a page action. They started to put open tabs in product form. They put it there, fill all possible fields in this form, and at the same action groups, they had sign in, click save button, and a certain success message would appear. And everyone created those action groups so big, giant, which after some time made us think that those action groups are really not reusable. So no one can no one can reuse these action groups because they are very defined only for one single test case. So my opinion about this, the more smaller action groups you have, the better. What I figured when I wrote some tests, I do suggest to write action groups which interacts only with one single page. If your action group is started to do some actions on two different Magento pages, that should be a marker for you, a flag that, hey, I do something wrong. I probably need to split those action groups into two pieces. So here we can see that we have straightforward, simple action groups which just opens a page and then waits for that this page is loaded. And if some extension will want to add any other wait for page load, or extension would like to add some steps like wait for my concrete block is loaded or something like that, he will be able to extend this one single action group, and all tests which go into this page will work properly and will be extended properly. The other step is, and as you can see, I forgot to tell you. That we finally have where it is functional testing. We finally have a point here in Magento technical guidelines where we started to write the most crucial rules, and which helps keep MFTF tests clean and look good. Initially, we started with simple rules like naming conventions for each MFTF entity, some best practices which must work and must be in our test, something you must not do. So please go ahead and read this document. You will find it. I hope you will find it very simple and useful. So as you can see here, action groups file name must follow this pattern. And action groups, blah, 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 where it otherwise, blah, blah. Okay, I wanted to say that action group name should be identical as action group file name, but we don't have this rule here. We have this only for name. I have only this for other entities, but not for action group. Okay, that's a good finding. We'll probably add this rule in future. What it gives me, I'm just copy pasting this action groups simply by searching the same file. I'm able to find this action groups. Yeah, this action group is also pretty small. By this prefix, you can understand what this action group is doing and what purpose this action group serves. So this is going to be assert that captcha visible on contact ask form. So as you can see, we have here wait for element visible. We do sometimes, instead of write an action which called C, sees some step key, some text by some selector. Instead of this, sometimes for C element do not have text. Instead of writing C element by some selector, we write wait for element visible. So because of some pieces in Magento are loaded asynchronously and they appear not when you open a page. Not this. Because of this, we give a chance to Magento to load and show this element. So we write wait for element visible. And if in 30 seconds by default, if I'm not mistaken, it is 30 seconds. If in 30 seconds this element is not appeared, test will fail saying, hey, I wasn't able to find this element after a 30-second wait. So that's why we use wait for element visible. But once this element is visible, it goes to next verification, then to next. Then what we wanted to check in this assertion that even after reload, even after we reload our page, our captcha field is still present on the page and still giving us value. So we reloaded the page, we waited for pages loaded, and then we wait same elements.
David had a question in the chat for selectors.
Sure. Community or internal?
No, in the Blue Jeans chat. He said, does selector look for the ID tag?
Does selector look for the ID tag? Which one?
In general, I mean, a selector can look for an ID tag.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Hey, this is David. I was just wondering what it looks for in the HTML. Like, does it look for the ID equals, whatever, or how does it look for the elements?
It depends on how the selector
I see.
is defined. If you want to put up one of those sections, like the storefront contact form section, it'll either be using a CSS selector or an XPath selector, which can be either super simple, like literally just showing the ID, or it can be more complicated, like looking at surrounding elements for whenever you can't just use the the ID or the name of the field.
It actually, the way for element visible works very simple. That's just a loop which checks is this element, can I see this element? If it says no, then it goes one more time. Can I see this element? No. And this loop is working for 30 seconds by default. Once we first time saw this element, then we are going out of this loop and proceeding with test. But what kind of selector you put there, it doesn't matter.
Could you show David a section file so we can see what those objects look like?
Yeah,
Yep.
might make more sense.
So for example, in that selector value, it could be a hashtag with an ID or a more complicated CSS or XPath select.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, just from looking at this, like this first capture field, you can probably glean that the capture field itself doesn't have an ID. So it needs to use the ID of the contact form above it, and then it uses whatever input has the name of captcha at index contact us, right? If you ever want to test any of these selectors, it's as easy as opening up like a Chrome page and then looking at the page source and then just doing a Command F or a Control F to try to find it on the page, and then you can test out the selectors there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
If that's actually the other topic for next meeting, but I'd like to share with you an idea that here you can see that all of my selectors for CAPTCHA, they start with identical ID. So before I'm writing an element selector, I always try to find for this section context for all of this element. So for all of this element, I had an ID contact form, which makes this selector in general, whole selector, much more stable, and it probably won't change, or it is probably not less possible to have one more input CAPTCHA name contact us within contact form context. But if I will remove this, it gives more chances to appear two different fields, CAPTCHA fields on a page. So I always try to find a context for all my selectors. And also the other practice I want to share, which I will repeat it on next meeting, but when you write selector for input fields or select boxes or radio boxes, whatever, I do suggest do not use IDs. Instead, use input name attribute. Why do I suggest to use it? Because this name attribute is used by Magento code, Magento application itself. So probably, I'm not saying 100%, but probably, and 99% sure that there is forming a post request which contains an array with this CAPTCHA contact us keys. Those keys are used by Magento application. And imagine a situation when a developer think, okay, I want to change this name attribute to contact us written not with underscore but with dash. He will probably not do this because he will see a lot of references in Magento code to this array key. He will think, okay, I'm too lazy, I won't do this. So this selector, this name thing will live much more longer than any other ID or something like that, because not always ID is used by Magento application to understand what this element should do in Magento application. So if you work with input fields or any other fields which has name attribute, please use name attribute or defining selector. Even if you have ID, ignore it. That's my suggestion to you guys. Yeah, coming to next action group. Maybe someone has any questions, because I will be continue with this. Oh. Yeah, there is an example of action group which extends existing Magento action group. So basically we have action group storefront field contact us form with CAPTCHA. And here we have storefront field contact us form action group. So what the difference is that the basic action group, it fields only name, email, and comment. It gets arguments like customer and contact us data. That's two different entities. And in our CAPTCHA module, we create another action group. You will ask me why I decided to use this functionality hence to extend this action group and not just write it like storefront field contact us form and specify here after which action it will work. The thing is, it depends on how Magento application behaves. If you are sure that your page contact us form will always contain CAPTCHA if this module is installed, then yes, it is much better to fulfill this, to extend that action group just by specifying the same identical name and writing your action. But in case of CAPTCHA, there is always a case where you open this form and computer trusts you and do not want to verify that you are a human. So sometimes this CAPTCHA field can appear, sometimes will not. So I created another action group called Contact Us Form with CAPTCHA, and I'm extending basic Magento action. But that's something you need when you start thinking about it. Just think: is it always, if your extension or your module is installed in Magento, is it always going to show this field, or is it always changing behavior of some form or some page or something? If yes, then do not use this extend functionality and just extend existing Magento action group. But if you know that behavior will be changed depending on some cases, then it's better probably to create new action group completely, or extend existing Magento action group. I did it just because I knew that here in my preconditions I specified that CAPTCHA should be enabled all the time in Contact Us form, but you can specify that CAPTCHA will be visible only if you try to fill form on second or third time. So that's your test will look like. Actually, I have here customer login test which shows this. I have a test which goes fill customer login form. And this is basic customer action groups, and we pass argument called customer only. But we fill login form with incorrect password, with not existing even customer in Magento system. So we will see error message, and we will do this 3 times. And on 4th time, I believe, the 5th, we are using another action group, which also called field customer login form with CAPTCHA action group. So we know that we will be doing 3 times incorrect credentials login attempt. And we know that after these 3 attempts, we should see CAPTCHA form. So we know this behavior, and we had 3 different action groups. And on 4th time, we used our extended action group instead. In our case, wrong CAPTCHA, I don't know why, but the guy who wrote this task know what he was. Okay, I think I shared everything I could about action groups. If you still don't have questions, then probably my presentation was so good.
One thing I do want to point out, since we did have a question on selectors, I was thinking about this. We do have a page on DevDocs now, part of the new MITF guides that we've been writing, that has basically an advanced guide on the best practices of writing selectors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Alex, would you like to share the link on the chat?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you will go to Magento DevDocs, please always go to this functional acceptance testing MITF, because this is the most recent, the best document. Ignore this functional testing, just never try to open this page. Go always to MITF, and right here on the right section you will see test writing, and here you will have very useful topics. We will cover all of these topics with similar meetings which are recorded. We will share them on YouTube channel. Please subscribe, put like, write comment, share with your friends. That's what YouTubers do, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like and subscribe.
The QR code that you showed at the end of the presentation, what is that for? Does it take you to?
QR code, I am good there. If you're brave enough.
It looks like it's disabled.
It's not working.
Looks like, yes.
Giovanni.
Think that it's disabled.
Giovanni tried it and it didn't work.
Oh, shame.
Okay, my bad. I'll send in an
actually
MITF
works.
Slack channel. I will send the new QR code in Slack channel, but it worked just yesterday.
Worked on my machine.
Exciting.
All right, thanks a lot, Alex. Does anyone want to ask any last second questions before we wrap things up over here? This is your chance to pick our brains. Or make Alex talk more. Alrighty. Well, if nobody has anything, I think we'll wrap things up here. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks everyone from the community for joining us. We'll probably do more of these in the future, so keep an eye out for those. Thanks again, folks. Have a good one.